Stewart left wing.
Well, like a lot of programs, CSUN is going to switch defenses a lot. They start out in the zone. You'll see some soft press from them, a little bit of man-to-man, but not a lot. Talking to Reggie Theus, he wants to junk this game up a little bit. He doesn't want it free-flowing and up and down.
Boatwright coming off his best game, and he gets a shooter's roll.
15-9 on Saturday night in 31 minutes, and the 31 minutes is the key because, as I mentioned, limited minutes the first two because, like a lot of freshmen, early foul.
USC wraps up a 4-game season opening homestand tonight. It's Pac-12 basketball presented by Kay Jewelers. They're undefeated as they welcome CSUN. The Matadors arrive at the Galen Center 2-2. And this young man, sophomore point guard Jordan McLaughlin, has been a huge part of the early season success, leading the Trojans at better than 20 points per game. And good evening, everyone. JB Long with Don McClain, and this is our third game in about a week covering USC, and I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, are the Trojans good this year?
They're a lot better than they've been, and the guards have been really good for USC. You just saw McLaughlin, but Jacobs, Stewart as well. The one thing that's really stood out to me in watching their games, JB, is the ball movement. Does the ball keep moving? And watching their games, JB, is the ball movement. Does the ball keep moving? They're getting better looks. They're not turning it over as much. That's why they're playing so much better.
This is part of the AdvoCare International coming up. They're heading to Orlando, but first, CSUN. They only play a 7-man rotation for head coach Reggie Theus. Michael Warren is a freshman guard. So is Tavrion Dawson and Jason Richardson. A young team, a young backcourt.
Yeah, young backcourt. They have a couple seniors, so a little bit up and down, but a talented group.
Bank of the West starting lineups for USC. McLaughlin lines up with Julian Jacobs, who's a birthday boy today. Elijah Stewart. This may be one of the best backcourts in the Pac-12. We'll wait and see.
And Benny Boatwright kind of broke out last game. He got in foul trouble the first two, but came back with a nice night. He is going to be a major factor for them, especially on the offensive end this year.
Well, someone you're friendly with.
And then the ball movement I just mentioned, continue with that. Spread Northridge out. You said that they only play 7 guys. You can wear them down a little bit, make them work on the defensive end.
So game number 4 at the Galen Center to begin this 2015 and 16 campaign for the Trojans. They have been perfect in the record column and nearly perfect on the floor as well. Jacobs with Elijah Stewart left wing.
Well, like a lot of programs, CSUN is going to switch defenses a lot. They start out in the zone. You'll see some soft press from them, a little bit of man-to-man, but not a lot. Talking to Reggie Theus, he wants to junk this game up a little bit. He doesn't want it free-flowing and up and down.
Boatwright coming off his best game, and he gets a shooter's roll.
15-9 on Saturday night in 31 minutes, and the 31 minutes is the key because, as I mentioned, limited minutes the first two because, like a lot of freshmen, early foul trouble.
Feed inside to Jason Richardson. He's from Hawthorne out of Sarah High School where he won a state championship.
Well, because of his NBA influence, Reggie Theus, they do a lot of NBA stuff, a lot of NBA sets they run, not like most college programs where it's dribble drive motion, looking to kick out. They run offensive sets that have a lot of NBA style in them, if you will.
Off the baseline under. Jordan McLaughlin gets his first.
Well, how about the shooting percentages of McLaughlin? 59 from the floor, 43 from 3, and 88 from the line. He's threatening that 50, 40, 90. I know it's a small sample size, but a great start for McLaughlin.
And he is guarding Richardson. So to your point about being NBA-minded, we saw it on the first trip down. They feel like they have a physical size mismatch, not afraid to post their guard.
I'm sure that was in the game plan, in the shoot-around, to attack some of these matchups. You know, starting 3 guards, you got to make them pay on the defensive end and see if they continue to go to it.
This is Tavrion Dawson, who is also a Sarah High School graduate out of Long Beach. Another strong take, Jason Richardson, their leading scorer and leading assist man.
Well, I said this on Saturday night, JB. You know, everybody talks about Andy Enfield and the style he played at Florida Gulf Coast and Dunk City and all that, running up and down. But you have to get stops. And that's the other thing for USC that's been better here the first three is their defensive effort. Their defensive board hasn't been great, but getting stops and mostly getting turnovers and transitioning into offense the other way.
They held the Lobos to sub 40% shooting from the floor in Saturday night's win. That's a New Mexico team that could make a run at a Mountain West title. Jovanovic, and nearly twice now USC has scored off the baseline under. Jovanovic has finished much better inside than he did last year to start this campaign.
Well, I think last year what happened too is the guards hadn't proven that they could make shots yet, so everybody just packed it in on Jovanovic. Now with the guards playing so well, Nikola's got a lot more room in there to operate and doesn't have guys sitting in his lap and the guards digging down on him.
That's a great point. Part of the reason why he's shooting 72% through 3 games. Caden Reinhardt is the first sub for Andy Enfield. He guards opposite wing there.
You know, and that's why I said it is a small sample size and can't jump to conclusions, but it didn't look this way last year in the first 3 for USC. It just looks different.
Michael Warren missed on the drive. He's a freshman from D.C. So already a couple of offensive rebounds for the Matadors done.
It's an issue. We talked about it Saturday night. 23 offensive rebounds for New Mexico, and here we go early again. And you get if it's an issue, which it is for USC, even though it's only been 3 games, all 5 guys got to get in there. So even Jordan McLaughlin at his size, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of them, but you need to get the ones that maybe your big guys don't get. All 5 guys, foot in the paint, everyone rebounding.
At the free throw line, it's Olalekan Ajayi, senior from Lagos, Nigeria. Just at 53% from the stripe so far this year. He gets 1 out of 2, true to his number.
Well, Reggie Theus and his team have been successful here early of it not being free-flowing. It's been a half-court game so far, and that's the style they want. They don't want – he told me if USC scores 90 points, they probably have no chance of winning the game. So he's trying to keep it a possession game. They get a turnover there.
Now Richardson down the floor, guarded by McLaughlin. Nice find opposite Dawson. Jovanovic secures the board.
Well, on the other end, they get a long rebound like that. USC's got to look to push and do.
Boatwright off the bounce pass from J-Mac.
He's a good runner. You know, the scouting report on Boatwright coming in was a spot-up shooter, good pick-and-pop guy. But he'll get down the floor for you. And a great find by McLaughlin, gets the hit and scores the bucket.
Jordan's getting 4 assists per game, and he gets some words of advice from Andy Enfield, 46 years old, his 3rd season at the helm here in Troy.
Well, this is the year, and you and I talked about this on Saturday night, where year 3 is when your team and program are supposed to make a jump, and it looks like USC's going to do that this year.
Richardson missing in transition, a second and now a 3rd try at it. Boatwright reaching up to claim it for USC.
Got away with it that time, USC.
Julian Jacobs slashing through.
You know, McLaughlin's probably getting a lot of the headlines here early because he's leading them in scoring at 20 a game. But to me, Jacobs has made the most improvement in terms of his game management, deciding when to go, when to pull it back. He's not turning it over as much as he did last year. And figuring out how to harness that athleticism to make him a really good basketball player. He's been impressive early.
Tell you what, Elijah Stewart's not far behind those other 2 guards you mentioned. Really, the entire Trojan backcourt. Right. Jacobs to McLaughlin, illustrating our point in transition.
This is what Reggie Theus was worried about. Them not scoring, them turning it over, and it leading to easy buckets for USC.
Timeout call.
Well, people might be saying, oh, you guys are, you know, jumping the gun here a little bit. It's only been 3 games. But don't forget that they lost to Portland State at home in their opener last year. So, yes, the competition hasn't been great. It hasn't been bad. But it's noticeably, to me, watching them play, better ball movement, better decision-making.
San Diego in the blowout on opening night. Then they beat a Monmouth team that upset UCLA in overtime. And New Mexico, look, they're no slouch, and they were long and talented.
Yeah, New Mexico didn't play well.
Right.
So let's give USC some credit for that. But again, I go back to what I see, and what I see is a more under-control team that's running on opportunity, but now completing those plays in transition instead of missed shots or bad passes.
There's a good one, extra pass. Jacob didn't quite get it in his shot pocket. Neither did Reinhardt, but he'll pull anyways. Caden Reinhardt from the corner.
Well, great job not rushing it by Reinhardt. Sometimes when you miss that pass, you rush it up there and you don't make it, but he got it, gathered himself, and knocked down the three.
Reinhardt changing from the number 1 to jersey number 5 this year. We've not talked about that yet this season. Closing out here on the three-point shooter, Richardson.
I know you found out the reason why. Because you always have all the information.
Yeah, it's a selfless move by him. The number 1 is often a look-at-me type number.
Oh, okay.
Reinhardt's, he's just shooting for the team this year, Don.
Well, he's off to a good start in this one, and CSUN better be careful because USC has the capability to do what they're doing right now. They need a score. There you go.
USC nearly turned him over, but Dawson lays it in. He's got 13 a game.
How is Reinhardt accepting his role coming off the bench? He looks like he's accepting it pretty well.
That's the 3rd straight time they've hit a wide open corner 3. Jacobs off the mark. And that's one thing we've talked a lot about Jacobs' game so far as Reinhardt secures a rebound. He's going to have to continue to prove the ability to knock down the 3 to keep defenses honest.
Yeah, and he's open, but Reinhardt, again, look, he gathers, catches, gathers, and scores. And CSUN better figure out their rotations defensively, because if you continue to lose guys in the corner, it's going to be a long night for them. But Reinhardt, not shooting it great to begin with, but he has the ability to get hot. And you're seeing maybe this might be the breakout game for him. He's already knocked down a couple.
Yeah, just 1 of 6 the other night, so you can tell he was determined to come out and have a better start this evening. Elijah Stewart was pulled after just a minute of floor time. He's back in. So is Chimezi Metu making his first appearance, along with Darian Clark up front.
He made a good impact the other night, Metu, didn't he?
Sure
Active,
did.
Rim protection.
McLaughlin feeding Clark fresh into the game, and there's another assist for J-Mac.
Well, again, the ball movement. And instead of trying to ISO dribble on your own and create something, they are moving the ball, moving the defense, and pretty much getting whatever they want here early, USC.
Dawson guarded by Stewart. Doesn't use the ball screen. To the wing instead. Richardson puts it down on McLaughlin. They feel like his size and strength might be their best offensive weapon.
And Metu a little bit late rotating over. That should have been his block. Just a hair late.
Reinhardt takes the on ball. Flips over to Stewart. And there's Metu securing a new possession. And McLaughlin. Boy, he's getting 20 a night. He's not hesitating.
And he's a good shooter. You know, he's a point guard. He can play off the ball. He can play on, which makes him so much more valuable. But you get the feeling he can score when he wants, but I like the unselfishness of getting other guys involved. He's not looking to get his 20 in the first half for the betterment of the team.
They kind of like the ball in Jacobs' hand at the top when he's in, and now with him out, McLaughlin is a true 1. There's the first bucket for Ajayi, who's shooting 70% from the floor.
Well, I think they do that because McLaughlin's a better shooter than Jacobs right now, so it makes sense to play him off. Let Jacobs try and create more.
23 left to shoot for McLaughlin and the 3-0 Trojans. They're doubling up CSUN. Metu with an easy catch. Takes it to the lane. Lost it on the way up. Rebounded by Dawson.
You know, I thought CSUN would actually play a little bit slower than this, too. They're going early in the clock sometimes. It sounded to me like they were really going to try and junk this thing up, but they're taking first available.
This is Landon Drew with the basketball, a senior from L.A., son of the Cavs assistant and former NBA player Larry Drew. And we saw his older brother, Drew, too, at UCLA. Ajayi off the mark, pulled down by Darian Clark.
I'll tell you what, this first 8 minutes has been a pretty clean game. Not a lot of fouls, not a lot of turnovers. Nice find again by McLaughlin.
I've got him at 3 assists, and Metu gets an easy one.
This just in, JB. McLaughlin's pretty good. And season cut short last year, missed the last 8 games, missed 10 games overall. But you see the impact of him. Scoring when he's got it, finding people when they're open.
You look around the league, and there are 2 point guards, and I'm putting that in air quote, around the league, at Cal and at Oregon State, Peyton and Wallace, who feel like they are next-level players. But they're really off guard playing the one. I think Jordan might be the best true one in the conference.
Give me some thought. Let me get some thought on that. But at first blush, you're right. And Reinhardt knocks down another 3.
It depends. We're going to categorize Bryce Alford, right? But I know you and I are both kind of the mind that he's going to continue to evolve into the 2 as Aaron Holiday takes over minutes at the 1.
Yeah, I think you're right. Andrew Andrews, maybe only because he's, older. He's a true point guard. I think talent-wise, though, McLaughlin's probably better.
We can also see the crippling effect of not having the point guard solidified. Look at the way that Stanford is struggling right now with Robert Cartwright done for the season. No point guard problem in Southern California.
What's happening is they're seeing the success of moving the ball, so now they're interested in doing it even more. But I think players are moving more because they know the ball's going to move. And so guys are running the lanes, guys are moving in the half-court offense because they know the ball is going to find them if they work hard.
Julian Jacobs back in. We get our first look at Malik Marquette tonight. Peyton Reinhardt is 3 of 3 from behind the arc, but he turns it over here.
Not a great decision. Kind of got caught up in the air there, nowhere to go.
Strong take by Michael Warren, a freshman from D.C., whose older brother, Jeffrey, you might remember, played at Virginia Tech and became the first player in ACC history to go for 1,500 points, 1,000 boards, 200 steals, and 150 blocks. He was a do-it-all threat for the Hokies, and Warren begins his career in Southern California.
Well, this roster for CSUN, and talking to Reggie Theus today, he doesn't have a full roster, obviously, only plays 7 guys, but he thinks next year he's got 5 high major D1 guys sitting out. So next year might be the first time since Reggie Theus has been at Northridge where he's got a full complement of recruited players and a full roster to attack the season with.
Darren Johnson, a Washington transfer who started some games for Lorenzo Romar during his time in Seattle, is one of those players. Midway home in the opening half, Elijah Stewart with the catch right wing. Check that's Marquette. Takes the on ball from Clark, pulls up just inside the line.
They turned a good shot into a bad shot that time, Marquette.
Reinhardt has not missed. He's 4 of 4.
Well, he has that ability, and there's going to be nights, I believe, where Reinhardt goes off. He had 35 last year against Colorado, and if he's going to continue to come off the bench, then he's going to be that spark plug, the guy that can come in, you get him looks, and he can, and some nights he's really going to get it going.
Hey, you forget he was overshadowed by Askia Booker that night with the Trojans and the Buffs battle, but he was there shot for shot that night.
Well, and he's not just a catch-and-shoot guy. He can manufacture some points. I think him, along with some of the other USC guards, decision-making has been evolving. And I think now he's gotten to the point where, all these USC guards understand what's a good play and what's a forced play.
Pick and pop for Zachary Douglas, a senior from Maryland. Jacobs on the move. Around the back, Reinhardt. He passed on the 3 to put it down, and there's a hand-checking foul on through.
Even something as simple as that, JB. Jacobs last year would have tried to take on those 2 defenders, try and get to the rim, and who knows what would have happened. This time, pulls it out, waits for the trail guy in Reinhardt, and flips it back to him. It's not a big-time play or anything, but it's the smart play in a play that he maybe didn't make last year.
No, we chose to focus on McLaughlin tonight. He's getting better than 2 assists, but Jacobs actually has the team lead in that category with better than 4 assists per night. Marquette missing from distance. Last touch by the Trojans.
Well, Jacobs does a lot of things, too. He can score it. He'll rebound. He's big for his position. We've already talked about how athletic he is. And then he's going to find people. So, 19, 8, and 7 2 games ago. That's almost threatening a triple-double. That's filling up the stat sheet.
He and Jovanovic share the team lead in rebounding with 7. So the offensive rebounding woes that USC has experienced, can't blame Jacobs. He's been boarding from his guard spot. That's a nice lead. Tavrion Dawson on the best possession offensively for CSUN so far.
Well, we know that they don't want the game fast, but they're going to have to be in attack mode to get some easier looks like that. Not a great perimeter shooting team, CSUN. They're going to have to get some stuff in the paint. 35% as a team from behind the line, which isn't bad. But USC probably a little bigger, maybe even a little more athletic than CSUN. So maybe you can drive them and not have to rely on the three ball that much.
Benny Boatwright returns. Malik Martin makes an appearance. Jovanovic in for USC as well. Jacobs on rotation. Marchetti. He can't find it.
You know what, though? Good offense. One more. Got a good look for Marchetti on the left wing.
Now Boatwright. Catch inside. Went right up with it. Collects again. Blocks. Ajayi. Sent it off. Boatwright for possession.
Boatwright will dunk this next time. Even if it's not on the catch, come down with it, bounce back up. Missed opportunity for him.
So USC plus 15, 8 minutes to go in the opening half. Reinhardt has connected on all 4 of his shots, 3 of them threes to lead the Trojans in the scoring column.
See, that's what I'm saying right there. Dribble penetration for CSUN. Get in the lane, make some things happen.
Jason Richardson has 8 of their 16 points. Jovanovic from the line. Drives left and has a chance for 3. Nikola Jovanovic with his first buckets, and he'll Miami, who defeated them, ultimately won.
Yeah, Miami, nobody expected that out of them, but they handled Utah pretty easily. Nice to see Utah bounce back in the 3rd place game, though.
Larinaga is some kind of coach, isn't he?
Apparently.
Jovanovic cannot cap what would have been a 3-point play, spanning that commercial break. Jordan McLaughlin back in for USC. You said his percentages have been every bit as good as his stats.
Well, a nice play by Malik Martin. Gets the offensive rebound, doesn't force it through the traffic, looks opposite, and finds McLaughlin spotted up.
And now he's got the steal. Running with Boatwright. And Jacobs behind the back, Benny Boatwright.
It's infectious, JB. Once guys start moving the ball, I said it earlier, guys start moving, guys start running more, and you see more plays like that. That was fun to watch.
Jacobs turned 21 today. He's supposed to be receiving the presents. Instead, he's dishing out as he has all season for Troy. He and Jovanovic, who share the team rebounding lead, fighting for that board.
Think they know it?
It's about the only possession that they're fighting for. It's going to be fighting on the defensive glass and not at the offensive
exactly.
Foul on Zachary Douglas. It's going to be the 17th foul on CSUN. Trojans in the bonus.
Well, this is the 4th game of the year for USC, and this is what they've done really well, is get stops and get it the other way and finish plays. Now, once the competition starts to rise, they're not going to have as many opportunities. But to me, they're gaining confidence in finishing breaks, finishing plays because of the turnover issues they've had the last year or two. This will give them some confidence so that when they do step up in competition, they'll still be able to complete these plays.
Jovanovic hits at the free throw line. I've just been so impressed with Boatwright as a freshman at 6'10". He's already grown into his body. He's coordinated. He has good shooting touch. He runs the floor. He catches.
You don't see guys coming out of high school, especially his size, that can shoot it as well as he does.
Michael Warren challenged at the rim. Came up empty. McLaughlin on the push. Lost it as he hit the key. Into the floor they go. Collected by Richardson. The hit ahead to Trey Hill Emerson. And a nice lead for Warren.
That was a nice drop-off dime there.
Hill Emerson is from Pac-12 country, a senior from Sheridan, Oregon.
I've never been to Sheridan. How's that Pac-12 country?
You don't watch Pac-12 Oregon? We're huge in Sheridan.
We are.
Three-point shooting has been sharp for USC. They are 6 of 11 from behind the arc.
And give them credit for knocking them down, but CSUN's defense hasn't been real sharp here in the first half. Rotations, leaving guys, too many good open looks for USC.
Jacobs again spins out of transition. Drives baseline. McLaughlin has been on fire. 5 of 6 from the floor, 3 of 3 from behind the arc.
It is so fun to play free and open when you know guys are going to share the ball, and that's exactly what's happening. Jacobs goes into the lane. Maybe in the past he would have tried to put it up on the rim. Instead finds McLaughlin in the corner.
Trey Hale Emerson, who is the school's career blocks leader, getting it done at the offensive end.
This is the way guys want to play anyway. Free, open.
Heat check there from J-Mac.
Probably the first contested shot of the evening for USC. Watch Jacobs. He might have tried to score that one last year. McLaughlin ready to go in the corner. Andy Enfield has to be pleased. Again, I know I've said it a couple times. It's a small sample size, but to watch your team play like this and be unselfish and share the ball and have fun with it instead of grinding it out and concerned about what you're doing, thinking about it, maybe not making the right plays. That's no fun. This is fun. Watching them play these first 3.5 or so games, you can tell they're having some fun.
As I see Jordan's haircut there, I'm reminded, you know what his social media handle is? Young Simba.
Is that right?
Lion King reference. You can see it, right?
Well, I knew Simba was Lion King.
Yeah. I know you got
think
kids
that's why his hair's like that?
Well, I'm not sure what came first. Someone may have seen his dude.
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
Yeah, looked like a young Simba. He's adopted it. Playing like the king of the court again tonight.
I was waiting for that. He's shooting it like a king, I'll tell you that.
So has Reinhardt, but he's willing to leave it for Elijah Stewart. So here's the thing with USC. We've seen Stewart heat up like a microwave at different points of the season. It could be a different guy or a couple different guys each night, but they have that margin for error now.
Yep, there's more guys and more guys playing with confidence. If you got Reinhardt coming off the bench now, and let's say Stewart doesn't have it going, then Reinhardt's coming in for him, and maybe he gets hot.
That's exactly what Enfield did tonight.
Yeah.
After 1 minute, he brought Reinhardt on, and he canned 3 consecutive triples.
It might be somebody else another night. Maybe it's Jacobs comes out early, and another guy comes in.
There's the first turnover for McLaughlin, and that's been another part of his great early season success. Just a turnover per game. As much as he handles it, as many minutes as he plays, really takes care of the basketball. Making balanced scoring and ball movement.
Well, you see it again tonight. 55% from the field as a team and only 5 turnovers. And so you don't shoot a high percentage every night if you're taking contested shots, if you're forcing things, if you're moving it to open guys, you're going to shoot a higher percentage.
And we left it as there's a margin for error where if someone's not feeling it on a given night. The other night it was Reinhardt. Well, tonight he's 4 of 4. Tonight it might be Elijah Stewart. He's 0 for 4, but he's their second leading scorer.
Don't you get the feeling, though, that McLaughlin's going to be pretty much get it going every night? He's got 15 already in this one.
That's kind of the burden of being the point guard, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't have off nights at the 1.
Well, that's right. But Jacobs runs the team, some. So he doesn't have that burden of having to manage the game all the time either. He can kind of play off the ball and be a scorer. But he's such a good shooter that I see why Andy Enfield starts those 3 guys and has Jacobs basically at the top.
Jason Richardson, really strong basketball name, right?
Yeah.
Misses, but it's cleaned up. One more thought on McLaughlin too, and because of the way they share the guard load this is no knock against his defense, right? But when you have Julian Jacobs and you have Elijah Stewart, he doesn't have to take the toughest defense.
That's a great point. He doesn't have to expend the energy every night.
Lost his footing.
If you need his 20, which I think they're gonna, then what a luxury for him and for Andy Enfield that he doesn't have to chase, the Tyler Dorseys of the world around and guard the other team's best guard every night. They can rotate it. You can bring Marchetti in for defensive purposes. As you said, Stewart, Jacobs, all those guys can take turns. We saw it the other night on Colin Neal. There was different guys guarding him, and he was their second leading scorer coming in, and they did a great job on him.
Colin Neal, the son of the head coach. They played New Mexico the other night, and they largely took him out of the game until late. Ajayi helping with the offensive board, securing a new possession.
Like Reggie Theus' group still playing down 24. Let's see if they can maybe get a little jolt here going into halftime. Couple positive plays that can get them a little bit of momentum before halftime.
The freshman Richardson got it to the left hand, erased by Metu. Now trailing the play, Chimezi Metu can't finish.
It's like he never had it.
Whoa! Wow. Tavrion Dawson, the 6'8" freshman with the left-handed throw. And a charge on Jacob. So here is that little jolt you were talking about from the Matadors.
That little jolt. And Julian Jacobs, I'm going to say the first really bad decision I've seen. And well, that was a bad decision to jump there. But then on the other end, he compounds it by over-penetrating and running into the defender.
Dawson was a two-time All-State selection in California as a prep. We're 2 minutes away from our State Farm halftime report. A reminder that Kate Scott is standing by with a mix of hoops and football. USC fans in particular might be interested in that Glenn Parker breakdown between USC and UCLA for the right to play Stanford at Levi Stadium the first Saturday in December.
That's going to be a good game, huh?
Really good. Really good. And UCLA, I know, would like nothing more than another chance to prove themselves against a Stanford team that's had their number.
Owned them.
But likewise for USC. Our officiating crew led by Tony Padilla, along with Tom O'Neill and Randy Heimerman, taking a look. Well outside the restricted area, and I think he was the primary defender anyways.
Yes.
That was Landon Drew. You know what? As I look at it here, two officials had two different calls, and I think the block won out. Because
I saw the official signal offensive foul. That's why I was saying it was a bad decision by Julian Jacobs. And it wasn't a great decision. He's going to get away with it here. But that was interesting. They must have... did they check the monitor just to see the restricted area?
No, to player ID. You can't check restricted area. You can't review offensive fouls. But I think once they overruled and decided it was going to be a defensive foul, they wanted to make sure they charged it to the appropriate person. That one's going to be charged to Reinhardt.
Let's not forget, we've referenced the New Mexico game a few times. The USC was up 21 in the second half, and they came all the way back to make it a game late. And USC's got to learn from that 2 nights ago and keep your foot on the gas pedal against CSUN, because they're a talented enough group that they can make the same kind of run that New Mexico did the other night.
Richardson sends it over to Dawson. Here's Drew, guarded by Jacobs. Takes the ball screen high on the roll. Hale Emerson with the assist.
Interior defense. We've talked about their defensive rebounding, but there's been interior passing the last couple games that have led to easy layups for the opposition. Another area that USC needs to talk about and try and clean up.
Nearly a 4-minute scoring drought for the Trojans and another giveaway.
Well, we've been celebrating the ball movement. And Metu that time, just ISO tried to take it himself, turns it over.
Some soft pressure here, nothing to it for the Matadors. 1 minute to go, the ball in the hands of Jason Richardson. Ivanovic off the screen, able to stay in front. Hale Emerson with the jab step and the post feed. Ajayi pushed off the block, backs down Ivanovic. Great drop step, couldn't finish. Dawson back to the perimeter, and the shot clock did not reset. They never drew iron.
It's unfortunate, but another possession where USC gives up multiple looks at it because they're not rebounding their defensive board.
Reggie Theus trying to get an explanation. He thought it should have been a reset. For the moment, USC plus 20 with the basketball and 10 seconds separating shot clock and game clock as we head to the half.
But a little sloppy coming down the home stretch of this half, right? I mean, they were cruising, and all of a sudden, CSUN making a little bit of a run here.
Good call by the officials. That never hit the cylinder. And so the shot clock there with about 41 seconds left. So Reggie Theus pacified, and USC will have the basketball. They've been scoreless for the last 4:28.
See where they go here on this last possession, or what looks like their last possession.
Jacobs, Metu, Stewart, Jovanovic, and Marchetti, the 5 for Andy Enfield. Jacobs takes the on-ball, Jovanovic. 13 to shoot. Got caught up in the air, able to hit Stewart. 3-second violation on Jovanovic. So the Matadors can get the last.
Why haven't they scored in 4 minutes, JB? It's the opposite of what we've been talking about. Guys standing, ball stuck, not moving it, easier to guard. CSUN strung together some defensive possessions here to creep back into this thing.
They haven't hit a 3. They're sub 40% from the floor, but CSUN, as you said, can get the last here. On the kick, they miss off the heel. Metu controls, and it's a 20-point lead for the Trojans after 20 minutes.
Let's see if Andy Enfield is going to get after his guys to spin it back around. They were cruising, they were running, they were
get a hard closeout. That's just fine for them offensively.
And that's what I'm saying. They're not going to be this hot every game throughout the season from behind the line. So will that set up more penetration stuff? Other guys stepping up like we talked about in the first half. Some guys get it going one night, some on other nights.
Now they start on defense here with Michael Warren driving and turning it over. That's the 7th turnover on the visiting Matadors.
Well, let's see if CSUN changes any of their coverage, any of their looks defensively. A lot of really good looks early for USC, but they clamped down a little bit at the end of that first half.
Appears to be zone on the first trip down. Elijah Stewart gets a start in the second half. McLaughlin with the basketball, right wing. And Jacobs probing and retreating. 8 to shoot. He feeds Jovanovic. Turns left shoulder. Kind of gets that chicken wing out there, doesn't he, as he turns in the lane.
A lot of European players play with their elbows up. It becomes a problem when they come to the States because a lot of American players take exception to when those elbows are up. You don't see it all the time, but you see it sometimes.
How about the lob? Hale Edmerson converts.
A lot of air under that lob, wasn't it? But effective nonetheless.
6 minutes and counting now since USC last scored. It was north of the last media timeout of the first half when they got to 46. A foul on the floor, and that'll give us another look at the sky lob.
Yeah, watch how high this pass is. Usually when the ball's in the air that long, the defense can react to it. But they didn't that time. CSUN scores.
Dawson and Richardson played together in high school, won a state championship. Stewart dead on the dribble. A nice find. Jovanovic steps through to the left hand, and the drought continues for the Trojans.
Wow. He's had 2 really good looks at Jovanovic. One right-handed, one left-handed. Couldn't get either to go. And he's got enough room in there that those are plays that he needs to finish.
McLaughlin triggers the inbound, and it continues. Rattles out on Stewart. He's 0 for 5 from the floor.
Well, CSUN probably kicking themselves that they let the lead get so large, because if it hadn't, we'd have a game on our hands. But since it was 27, USC was up at one point. They've only been able to shave it back down to 18.
Yeah, they're going to rue leaving the window of opportunity 7 minutes or more. Finally capped by McLaughlin. They didn't close the ground any between the last bucket for USC.
No. See if that gets USC jump started, though. Nobody back for CSUN. McLaughlin, easy dunk.
He's got 17 points to lead Troy, and there's a foul on Jovanovic challenging the shot.
It's interesting that it wasn't a long rebound. It was just McLaughlin kind of leaked out. Him or Stewart could have gotten that. But everyone on the offensive board for CSUN leaves that at the other end open.
Jordan's almost to his number already. He's averaging 20. Tops on the Trojan stat sheet. Matadors for the free throw line. 2 minutes into this second half. Jason Richardson, a 62% free throw shooter. His father played at Northwestern. His sister Bria at Pepperdine. He's reached double figures in all 4 games to start his career at CSUN. A 1 out of 2 and Boatwright an easy board.
Let's see if the player movement picks back up for USC. They got stagnant at the end of the first half. It looks like they're trying to make a conscious effort to get it in.
Oh, behind the back, Boatwright from Jovanovic.
Well, if you're not going to finish it, let's make a nifty pass then. Behind the back, Boatwright on the finish. Nice play. But they are definitely looking to get inside to Jovanovic to start this second half.
Richardson crossing over, throwing to the wing. Dawson. Another rebound. Boatwright.
This is what he can do right here. Trail, look at him. He gets a rebound. He trails the play. They can flip it back to him for the trail 3. Take a look at this pass again from Jovanovic. Good find, good delivery. Nice cut by Boatwright, too, along the baseline. Gets open spot.
I like the point you make about what makes Boatwright such a good trailer is that defender, who's the 5-man, has to stay tight to him, top of the circle in transition. And finally, Stewart's off the schneid.
And what do bigs want to do when they're running back in transition? They want to run to the paint, to the front of the rim. So if you forget that you're guarding Boatwright, he's going to be standing out there wide open behind the three-point line on the trail.
And he'll drive you, as we just saw. Well, USC has come alive to start this second half. Back out to 53-29. Well, Boatwright was straight up, but got Michael Warren with the body. It's going to be his first personal foul.
Well, you hope if you're Andy Enfield, and I mentioned it earlier, that freshmen getting acclimated to the Division I game sometimes get in early foul trouble, but you hope that this doesn't become a thing for Benny Boatwright, that he's not prone to foul trouble this entire season, because I do think he's going to make a major impact on the offensive end for USC with his skill set. So something, you know, watching film, understanding where to be, get your hands off, little things that can keep you out of foul trouble that Boatwright needs to learn.
Benny Sr. was a standout at Lutheran High, served in the LAPD. Boatwright has a godfather whose son Eric played for USC. Jovanovic up to the elbow this time on the catch. Stewart's using the up fake to get to the right side. Elijah Stewart's.
Well, operating a little bit differently on Saturday night. I felt like he was wide open behind the three-point line all night. Tonight, not as many looks, having to manufacture some of his offense.
Good ball movement by the Matadors, and they'll get free throws for Hale Edmerson. Well, timeout us inside of 16 to go. Elijah Stewart was 0 for the first half, but he's hit a couple.
Van Vliet, one of the best guards in the country.
The Shockers were shocked by Tulsa last week, fell to 20th in the national rankings today. As we resume at the free throw line for CSUN, Trey Hale Edmerson.
USC able to push it back up to 25, now 24, because they've started to score again.
The Matadors out of the Big West Conference, picked 7th out of 9 teams there. UC Irvine and Mamadou Ndiaye, the favorite, along with UCSB, who was on that Jared upcoming schedule for USC. Here's the lob. Stewart's plenty of bounce to get there.
You feel like Elijah Stewart can go as high as he needs to, no matter where that ball is, and he was way up on that one.
That's something they drew up during that timeout for first possession off the free throw. Well executed by USC. And last touch by the Matadors. Here's some Olay defense from CSUN.
Well, McLaughlin on the delivery. Look how high Stewart gets. Some token pressure from CSUN. Let's see if they do it again. USC broke it pretty easily.
Boatwright puts it down. Bounce pass. Jovanovic. Back-to-back slams for USC.
Well, they've decided to get to the rim now. USC. More stuff at the rim. Penetration. Back-to-back plays for dunks.
Richardson on the bounce. Working against McLaughlin. He threw one to the rim. McCarron comes out to the Matadors. Dawson traveled to give it back to the Trojans.
Let's take a look at that last play. Boatwright with the nice drop off. And no one home for CSUN.
The USC shooting at 55% from the floor. All but 3 of their buckets have been assisted tonight. Boatwright dribbles into a 3. Couldn't talk it through. Numbers for the Matadors if they hurry. Warren, a tough take. Well, Michael Warren.
You kind of saw that coming, JB. USC sent almost everybody to the offensive board, and that gave CSUN numbers. And Warren just puts his head down, gets to the contact, and scores. Nice play by him.
Yeah, he was recruited by some Big Ten programs for football before opting to continue his basketball career in Southern California.
Probably couldn't have gone wrong either way.
He leads the team both in free throws made and attempted. Better than 79% from the line, but spins out on him there. So 59-34, inside of 15 to go.
I don't think there's any doubt that USC is going to win this game, but like we mentioned earlier, what happened against New Mexico, letting them come back, you don't want to get sloppy. There's a good example of it right there. Sloppy pass leads to transition for CSUN and free throws. You have to continue to work your habits. You have to work your habits, okay, so they become habit. And just because you get a big lead doesn't mean you start going away from what got you the big lead. USC did that on Saturday night, and I'm sure Andy Enfield's talking about that tonight. Guys, we got to stay with what got us here. We can't be sloppy with it. Stick to what got us here.
It's their 9th turnover, and Jason Richardson, already into double figures, will get a second attempt at the free throw line. Matadors just 50% from the stripe tonight. Part of the reason they weren't able to close the gap during that dry spell, more than 6 minutes, bridging the half for USC. Metu back into the contest, pulls up. I think he caught it on the way up and threw it in.
Yeah, I think he did too. And Jacobs, you hear Jacobs telling him to go. He had it mid-post area, and the defender was late. Go and score, and he did and got the foul. He's going to be a nice player.
Chimezi Metu from Lawndale, California, 6'11", but his wingspan even broader than that, 7'2" from fingertip to fingertip.
And just scratching the surface offensively. And I think his role this year will be more rim protector, runner in transition, not really offensively, but throw it up to him at the rim as he continues to develop.
To your point about rim protecting, averaging 4 blocks through 3 games.
This is interesting. USC up 27, picking up full.
Now Darian Clark at the top of it too. Matadors went right through it but missed the layup. A scramble for a second chance here. Dawson got blocked. Elijah Stewart. Oh, what a one-handed bounce pass. It winds up with Reinhardt. 5 for 5. Caden Reinhardt can't miss.
Completing fast breaks. Completing fast breaks is what they're doing this year. That was a risky pass on the run, but they were able to secure that, and then the kick out to the corner 3 for Reinhardt. Those are plays that maybe got muffed last year. This year they're completing them, finishing them with makes.
USC has hit 9 3-pointers. The Matadors are 0 for 7.
That's why you got a 30-point game, or one of the reasons.
If you can't make threes in college basketball,
it's hard to win.
You're done. Dawson. There's Metu going for one of those 4 blocks he averages. Altered the shot, if not blocked it. Reinhardt's. Finally, off the mark. One-handed by Metu. And he feeds Clark.
Wow. That was impressive by the freshman Metu. One-hand rebound, then pass right on the money for the layup.
Warren back to the baskets. Hale Emerson. And still dry from 3-point range are the Matadors. Jacobs, no-look pass, deflected up and off the board.
That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Jacobs, the development of him this year, how much better he's been, under control, making great decisions. Don't, because it's a blowout, start reverting back. You have to continue to build your habits and play in the right way, making good decisions.
Jason Richardson wrapped up Elijah Stewart on the move.
Watch this. Reinhardt with the miss. Metu over the top, secures it with one dribble. And the back-cutting Darian Clark with the finish. Good presence by Metu. Good poise, good presence, good delivery.
Born in L.A. in '97, but then he was raised in Nigeria. Now back in Southern California as a law history and culture major. Chimezi Metu sets the on ball for Jacobs. Juju Jacobs. Happy birthday.
I have to say it, once a game, Jacobs makes a play at the rim, either offensively like that or on the defensive end. Hyper athletic, especially off of one leg.
And now defending with a bit too much of the hip check there. Jason Richardson put the foul on him.
A lot of guys are good two-legged jumpers. He's really good off of one. Most of the time, he is off of one because he gets a lot in transition. That was half court, turn the corner, and throw it down.
Only 4 points tonight, but 8 boards, 8 assists.
And that's what you have to like about him. He's not hunting his points. They come, and they've been coming this year.
Well, how many of Reinhardt's threes have come from the hands of Jacobs? I mean, if he's got 8 assists, I'd say at least half of them, maybe more.
But a lot of guys, JB, that are averaging 15 a night coming in, if they've only got 4 and we're, almost halfway through the second half, would be hunting their points and looking for theirs. And he's just letting the game come to him.
The Matadors all season have been susceptible to the three-point line. No surprise to see Reinhardt lighting them up. Opponents are shooting better than 42% from distance against the Matadors. And that's continued tonight as Malik Martin re-enters for USC. And they'll give Malik Marchetti an opportunity to bring it up.
There's no starters on the floor right now for USC.
Reinhardt stepping back to the line. He's missed his last 2. Collected by Olalekan Ajayi. Drew, hesitating kick. Dawson drives the lane. Metu met him there. Clark to throw ahead in traffic. Martin couldn't handle it. And now numbers for the Matadors.
Don't need that. Not that it's probably going to matter in the final outcome. With no true point guard on the floor, somebody's got to take control.
Reinhardt again. Caden Reinhardt, 17 points. 17 points.
It's a great sign for Andy Enfield. Change role for Reinhardt. Would he accept it? And can he be that weapon, that spark plug off the bench that can come in and get you numbers?
5 made threes for Reinhardt as they get set to go to Orlando and face stiffer competition. Landon Drew, the senior, on the bounce. Picked up by Metu. That's a tough shot, falling away with a 6'11" player on you defensively. Martin puts it down. Across the key, Clark hit the underside of the rim, still fighting for it, scrapping, and stepping on the end line. 10:54 left. Caden Reinhardt and Jordan McLaughlin share the scoring lead with 17 points. Reinhardt with an enormous lead. They're shooting it at a 55% clip and holding the Matadors to just 30% from the floor.
Defensively, we've talked a lot about them sharing the ball and the ball movement so far here early in the season, but defensively probably been just as good. But I think the difference, they were good in stretches defensively last year, but because of turnovers and decision-making, they weren't able to take some of those stops and turn them into points. This year, much more efficient, much better at turning that defense into offense.
I know you've had an eye on the offensive rebounding tonight. That's double-digit second chances now for the Matadors.
It's definitely an area they're going to need to clean up because against teams like this and teams they played, can get away with it, but I think starting next week, you ain't going to get away with it.
Dawson finally hits a triple, the first of the night for the visitors.
Actually later this week.
And they face Wichita State in Orlando. Strahinja Gavrilovic into the contest, missing on his first. And a rebounding foul, looks like it was Metu. Well, I know why you're harping on that offensive rebounding, because this team is so long and athletic, they're capable. And that you wouldn't ask them of it, wouldn't ask it of them if they weren't capable.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, you're long, you're athletic, but you can tell by watching them it's not a priority right now. And you're right, they have the ability to be probably not a great defensive rebounding team, but a serviceable one. And giving up 23 offensive rebounds to another team, I don't care who you're playing, is way too many, which is what they did against New Mexico. And then again tonight, they're giving up 10 again. So, listen, they're probably going to be 4-0 after tonight, so you feel good about that. But any team, I don't care who you are, has areas that need to be cleaned up as you work towards December and then December into January when conference play starts.
In a previous thought, you were praising their ability to finish in transition. And this is a USC team that loves to get out in transition and run the floor. And sometimes that comes at the expense of defensive rebounding.
Yeah, we noticed that on Saturday night where guys were leaking out.
Timeout on the USC shooting 50% from behind the line. They've got a dominant advantage on CSUN. Jordan McLaughlin playing with Boatwrights.
I was wondering with this big lead, would these starters come back in or not?
From distance, off the mark. Martin with the rebound. Marchetti puts it down. One hand with the right.
Turns down the wide open three to go down the lane for the right-handed scoop shot.
Donnie Mack, JB along with you tonight. AO is our producer. J-Dub, our director. Glad you're with us for Monday Night's Hoops. A deflection for Gavrilovic. He's been squeezed in the rotation a little bit just because of the influx in talent. Martin can't catch the lob. Here's Strahinja. Another board on the offensive end for Malik Martin. And a foul on the Matadors.
Well, the game's getting really loose now, and USC doing a good job of staying on the offensive board. That was a play, the first one, where Martin should have finished it right at the rim. They get it back and then get the foul on the second one.
Dawson picks up his second. It's the fifth on the visitors. Inside a 9 to go. Boatwrights. Their baseline execution has been pretty good. They've gotten good looks off.
They really have.
Not just tonight either, going back all season. Douglas sends it to the corner, gets it back. Tavion Dawson with 12 to shoot. Over Marchetti, tipped out to Jordan. McLaughlin running the break, stops at the free throw line. Well, textbook execution, just didn't hit the shot.
I like that pull-up from right there, too. Kind of in between a pull-up jumper and a 2-foot floater.
A bucket inside for Olalekan Ajayi, transfer from Eastern Michigan. Here come the subs for Andy Enfield, led by Jovanovic. Looks like Metu will get back in as well. Boatwrights.
Good look for him, just doesn't get it to go down.
He's only hit 1 of 5 from distance tonight. Under 8 timeouts here. 74-46 USC. 4-0 as we take a look at our State Farm Get to a Better State game summary.
10 of 23 from behind the line. CSUN only 1 of 9. Big story in the game, but USC, I know we've said it a bunch of times going back to Saturday, just so much sharper offensively with their ball movement, limiting turnovers.
Elijah Stewart on the pull-up, no, but Jovanovic on the offensive glass, yes.
Can he give them the balance that they need? That's the one thing. If they're going to shoot a lot of threes and they're shooting a high percentage right now, you have to have offensive balance and get some inside as well.
Fouled on the rebound. So it'll go against Michael Warren. It'll be his third.
Can you count on it? We said it in the first half. Jovanovic is going to have more room with all these weapons on the perimeter for USC. Can he be a reliable scorer down there where you throw it down, he's singled up, no help coming. He's got to be able to put the ball in the hole.
I'm not sure they really have another true back to the bucket post.
But your other post guy can step out, and that's Boatwright, so that gives you even more room in there.
It's an interesting lineup with both of the freshman bigs playing around Jovanovic, Boatwright and Metu.
Boatwright at the 3, Metu at the 5, Jovanovic at the 4.
Now Boatwright will pick up the foul. That'll be his third and 9th on USC.
Well, that's a play right there where, not that you practice not fouling, but is that a play that you could avoid picking up a foul? What if this was a tight game and you don't want him on the bench, obviously? Could he avoid that foul? You just don't want to get in the habit of committing fouls when it's already been somewhat of an issue here early in your USC career.
Here's the other thing. If I'm defending for USC when Chimezie Metu is on the floor, I'm not committing any foul because there's a good chance that he's coming from behind to swat it away.
Like Dikembe Mutombo told me when I got traded to Denver early in the season, let your guy go, I'll block it.
That sounds like music to your ears.
Yeah.
Defensive end.
Hey, Dikembe, you don't have to worry about my guy getting past me.
Just funnel him right to the shot blocker.
He wasn't kidding either.
Well, Metu operating from the perimeter is that kind of shot blocker. Boatwright spinning, losing the handle, collected by Douglas.
No, nothing there. Driving into traffic, loses it. Like to see this unit, again, your habits. Move the ball like you were to start the game. We know the score doesn't matter and you're going to win regardless, but play how you've been playing.
Well, you've talked about the future for Reggie Theus and the Matadors. You can see the nucleus here with Warren and Dawson and Richardson, all freshmen.
I mean, it's been a tough go since he's been at CSUN, you know, with suspensions and guys not being able to play. And like we said in the first half, he's got all these guys sitting out that will be available next year to have a full roster, and the first full roster since Reggie Theus has been at CSUN.
Jovanovic becomes the 4th Trojan to hit double figures. He's also closing in on a double-double with 9 rebounds. Richardson spinning, laying off. Ajayi, no results. Here comes McLaughlin.
Can't imagine the starters.
Stewart set that up from the midcourt stripe.
Just getting ready to say, I can't imagine the starters are going to be out there too much longer. The last thing you want to have happen, somebody get injured, roll an ankle, something like that. But Stewart, again, high flying to the rim.
Landon Drew missing. It's just been a miserable night from the three-point line for CSUN. Douglas gets the easy one inside. 5 minutes to go. USC 20 points shy of hitting the century mark for the second time this season and the second time in the history of the Galen Center.
Yeah, we were there the other night, 101 against Monmouth.
That'll help.
I was surprised, weren't you, that was the first time 100 points have been scored at the Galen Center by USC?
How about McLaughlin? 4 of 5 from distance. He and Reinhardt have hit 9 threes between the two of them. And not much defensive presence at the moment. And I think Andy Enfield sensing that and wanting to get some substitutes in the contest will call a 30.
And I hate to say it, and I hope nothing happens, but it looks like the starters are going to go out. But this is the type of game where and kept it going. 6 of 8 from the floor, 5 of 7 from behind the three-point line.
That's another nice piece to fall into place before the Trojans hit the road for the first time later this week. They go to Orlando for tournament basketball. They're going to get either Xavier or Alabama after their opener against Wichita State. Darian Clark back in. Reinhardt just inside the line this time. Baseline feed, Metsu.
Left hand.
You can see it's not going to be long before Metsu really dials it in. Everything's there. He's composed on the court.
Well, and he doesn't have to have a lot of responsibility. I mean, defensively, protect the rim and rebound, and then offensively, at least right now, they're not going to throw it into him, and he's got to ISO and score in the post, catch lobs, get to the offensive board. But he's got good hands, he's long, and he moves well.
Ajayi scores it for CSUN. He's one of 3 Matadors in double figures with the dozen. Reinhardt's. Clark had hands on it, and I think he threw it off. Hale Edmerson.
Well, Clark had a bigger role last year, and he's going to be in the rotation this year, but that's how he's going to get more minutes, is with the effort plays. Play as hard as you can every second you're in the game and impact the game in a positive way with your effort.
A transfer from Charlotte, originally an Oak Hill Academy products. Malik Martin gives it to him, and Clark finishes.
That's the player movement we've been talking about. Moving without the ball, Clark straight down the lane. Might have gotten away with a travel, but finishes the play.
Yeah, for all we've talked about ball movement, player movement is an equal key. And this year with the freedom of motion focus, you can't chug cutters. And, you know, if you make a conscientious effort to move without the basketball, you're going to be rewarded with a good shot or a foul and free throws.
And again, I go back to what I was saying in the first half about it being contagious, and the more success USC has, the more guys are going to want to do it. If you cut and you're getting the ball in your hands, then you guess what? You're probably going to keep cutting.
A little bit of an all-star game feel to it late here as Jacobs takes it in. He's only got 4 points tonight, but he has 8 rebounds and 8 assists as he turns 21 to start this Thanksgiving week. Richardson pulls from behind the screen. 1 of 11 from 3-point range are the Matadors.
No comeback on USC tonight.
Strahinja Gavrilovic.
Give it to me.
International relations, global business major, a senior from Serbia. You know, he was a contributor earlier in his career, but with all the depth that USC has at the post right now, he's going to see reduced minutes here in 2015 and 16.
Believe it or not his first 3 of the season. 1 for 1 coming into this game.
Oh, no, he can shoot it. He can absolutely shoot it. Look at him spot up there. He wants another. Jacobs circles. Jacobs finishes. Jacobs will have a free throw to follow.
Gavrilovic spotted up in the corner with the knockdown, and nice play by Julian Jacobs here. Little surprised he's still in the game. Starter in a 40-point game, essentially, under 2 minutes to go.
Do you remember senior day last year at USC? There weren't any.
That's right.
And Gavrilovic is the only one this year. I'm not surprised you forgot senior day. We all did, because it didn't exist. It was
not
kind
sure
of a trick
I was
question.
there. No, yeah, but a lot of guys got experience last year, and they're still young. But guys got opportunities last year to play, and I think that's part of it as well. You know, we talk about it being Andy Enfield year 3 and how they want to play. Guys got valuable experience last year.
Kelton Conway is in for the first time for the Matadors, as both sides bring their reserves into the contest. Samir Dillon is in as well. A double bonus situation here with 1:23 remaining. You get a look at Zachary Douglas, a senior from Maryland, from the same National Christian Academy that produced Kevin Durant.
Is that right?
A lot of speculation that Durant might be heading back to the D.C. metro area in free agency.
See about that. Well, CSUN's got Loyola Marymount, and then they're at UCLA on Sunday. And this has been their first step up in level of the season of competition. We'll see if maybe once they get to UCLA next Sunday, they're a little more ready for this level of competition.
Gavrilovic back to the free throw line. To us, to the roster, he's Strahinja. But if you hang around USC, what do the Trojans call him?
Luis. And I want to say that was started by our own Kevin O'Neill. I cannot confirm nor deny that, but that is what I heard.
Luis had arthroscopic work on his right shoulder in March. You know, he and Jordan both had season-ending surgery procedures. Gavrilovic was able to travel with the team to Italy this summer, but was not cleared to play.
Just getting ready to say that. Now you wonder if that trip has had some impact on this start as well. You know, the teams that get to go overseas, you get to go once every 4 years. You get 10 extra practices along with the trip, and then the games over there. You know, it's hard to gauge what type of impact a trip like that has, but it certainly doesn't hurt. We know that.
I think it really helped Cal as they tried to get two highly touted freshmen into their mix. Stanford was another team that took an international trip this summer. In fact, they were on a very similar Italian itinerary to the Trojans. Cal went down to Australia.
Well, the conference is off to a good start.
Really
couple slip-ups, but I am really excited about January coming because there's not a clear-cut favorite, although Arizona is still the favorite, I think. But a lot of good teams, and what I really like to see in terms of the conference is top to bottom teams are winning. And I know competition's going to start getting better here shortly, but we've seen in the past some teams getting tripped up, and you know, all of a sudden you're into December and there's been some bad losses, and the conference isn't viewed as good as maybe it could have been. At least here early, there hasn't been much of that. I would say the UCLA loss to Monmouth and the Arizona State loss to Sacramento State in the opener were probably really the only two questionable losses, I guess you could call them.
Well, in each of Enfield's first two seasons, they finished last in the pack. They've won a combined 5 games across those 2 years. If I set an over-under of 5 league wins for this group,
I would say over.
I think so too. I think they're going to exceed their total combined from the last 2 years.
You may know this. I haven't looked. What are their misses? Do you remember?
I believe they don't have to go to the mountains, which is a really nice break.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't think they host the Bay Areas.
Because that matters in this.
Absolutely. Yeah, they go to Stanford and Cal, but don't host Stanford and Cal. And they do not make the trip to the mountains. Those are some pretty good misses. If Stanford is down, so be it. But Cal's going to contend, and the road trip to the mountains is one of, if not the
Utah is nationally ranked. Colorado's better this year.